Today we will travel back in time to the earliest chapters of history, when our planet was a newborn, hot, unstable, and hostile to life. About 4 billion years ago, as the Earth was slowly cooling, an incredible chemical drama began to play out. This drama culminated in a final creation: life. Scientists call this process abiogenesis, that is, the origin of life from non-living chemical elements. This process was not a sudden event. It was the result of a complex chemical evolution over billions of years. Earth's early atmosphere contained no oxygen. It contained gases such as methane, ammonia, water vapor, and carbon dioxide. These gases, volcanic lava, and cosmic radiation, especially the deadly ultraviolet rays, were nature's laboratories. Where did this chemical union begin? It is thought that this was either in the hot springs of the deep ocean floor, hydrothermal vents, or in the hot primordial soup on the surface of the Earth. Single-celled organisms, the predecessors of DNA or RNA, were born from the combination of chemicals in the deep ocean. The greatest mystery of life is a fundamental religion of life: self-replication. That is, the ability to make an exact copy of itself. In our modern life, DNA does this job. But DNA is a very stable and complex molecule. To make a copy of it, many enzymes are required, which are themselves made from the DNA code. It is a chicken or the egg puzzle. Scientists have proposed a groundbreaking theory to solve this puzzle: the RNA world. Although ribonucleic acid, or RNA, is chemically less stable than DNA, it has a special ability. RNA not only carries information as DNA does, it can also speed up chemical reactions like enzymes. Such catalytic RNA is called a ribozyme. So, in the first cell of life, that tiny particle, there was no DNA. There were some RNA molecules capable of self-replication. These molecules made copies of themselves and also helped in other important biochemical reactions. Thus, the ability to store information and perform functions was integrated into the same molecule for the first time. But in this primitive laboratory of nature, mistakes were made during replication. And these mistakes were the driving force of evolution. The number of molecules that made mistakes that helped the molecule replicate more quickly or survive in a hostile environment increased. Thus, the evolution of primitive life began at the molecular level. After self-replication began, the next important step was to keep those molecules isolated from their environment and in a safe place. This task was done by molecules such as lipids or fats. Lipid bilayer animation. A small bubble-like protocell is forming, containing nucleic acids. Lipid molecules mixed with water have a special behavior. They spontaneously form a bilayer, which keeps the water out, creating a small sphere or protocell. These protocells were the primitive form of today's cells. Their internal environment was different from the external environment, which protected the RNA molecules inside and helped chemical reactions to occur more efficiently. Metabolism, that is, the process of sustaining oneself by taking in external energy and releasing waste products, gradually developed within these protocells. Eventually, RNA began to give way to the more stable DNA, which could permanently store genetic information. And protein molecules proved to be more efficient than RNA in their ability to carry out chemical reactions. Thus was established the basic foundation of modern life: DNA to RNA to protein. Life began with a tiny, single-celled organism, the first prokaryote to exist in nature, a simple cell without a nucleus. The first single-celled organisms were anaerobic, meaning they could survive without oxygen. They got their energy from the Earth's warm minerals. Evidence of this early life, dating back about 3.5 billion years, is found in ancient rocks called stromatolites. Images of modern and ancient stromatolites, rippled, layered rock structures, animation of primitive cell division. Stromatolites are layered structures formed by primitive single-celled organisms like cyanobacteria. These organisms were the first engineers on Earth at the time. They not only learned to survive, they invented a process that changed Earth's environment forever: photosynthesis. Cyanobacteria began to make food using sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. One of the byproducts of this process was oxygen. Initially, this oxygen produced reacted with iron and other minerals in the ocean water and began to accumulate in the ocean. This resulted in the formation of today's reddish or rusty rocks, which are evidence that oxygen was entering the ocean water. Gradually, about 2.4 billion years ago, after all the iron in the ocean had oxidized, excess oxygen began to be released into the atmosphere. This huge event is known in history as the Great Oxygenation Event, or oxygen catastrophe. This increase in oxygen was a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it was the largest mass extinction in Earth's history, mass extinction. Most anaerobic organisms were destroyed by oxygen toxicity. On the other hand, it was the key to opening the door for later complex life. Oxygen opened a new and more efficient way of producing energy for life: aerobic respiration. In the presence of oxygen, the evolution of life gained new momentum. The next important step was the origin of complex eukaryote cells from simple prokaryotes. Eukaryotic cells have a defined nucleus and complex internal organelles. This complexity arose through a remarkable coordinated process known as endosymbiotic theory. It is believed that a large primitive cell swallowed a small respiring bacterium, but instead of being digested, this swallowed bacterium began to live inside the larger cell and produce energy for it. These small bacteria evolved over millions of years to become the mitochondria of today's cells, which produce energy in our cells. Similarly, after being consumed by photosynthetic cyanobacteria, they evolved into the chloroplasts of plant cells. This cooperative life was the first step in complexity. Then came another big leap, from unicellular to multicellular. The journey of multicellular life began very simply. Initially, some unicellular organisms would stick to each other after dividing, such as seaweed or common sponges. But over time, they learned to work with each other. This multicellularity was made possible by cell specialization. Some cells collected food, some cells participated in reproduction, and some cells took charge of movement. This specialization made possible all the subsequent complexity of life, such as organs, organ systems, and ultimately complex animals like us. Many cells working together create a system that is many times more powerful than the power of a single cell. This was one of nature's ultimate inventions. From unicellular to multicellular, prokaryotic to eukaryotic, the journey took about 3 billion years. Each step was challenging and risky. Life found its way despite oxygen shortages, ice ages, and repeated mass extinctions. After this fundamental breakthrough, the pace of evolution accelerated. Multicellular organisms began to establish themselves in the depths of the ocean. About 540 million years ago, the Cambrian explosion occurred, during which most of the major groups of animals in Earth's history emerged in a very short period of time. This event was the ultimate proof of the successful evolution of primitive unicellular life. Our entire journey, starting on a hot rocky planet with only simple chemical compounds, entering the world of RNA, the creation of protocells, the transformation of Earth's environment by cyanobacteria, and finally, the rise of eukaryotic and multicellular life, is a remarkable tale of life's resilience and nature's inventive power. Even today, in every cell of our bodies, we carry the chemical history of that primordial ocean. The structure of DNA, the energy-producing mitochondria, and even the lipid bilayer of our cell membranes follow the blueprint of that ancient protocell. We are the heirs of that primordial soup. This fundamental formula paved the way for biodiversity, showing how a tiny particle could evolve into the most complex creation in the universe. Life is not just a survival strategy, it is an endless capacity for continuous change and innovation. This story is not just about the past, it is also about the present. The formula for life is still relevant today. Are we alone in this universe, or are similar chemical reactions seeding a different single-celled life on another planet? Our journey of discovery will continue.